Welcome to a presentation of the Paramystic and the Common Denominator networks merging together. This is what I've been hoping for, folks. People coming together, finding that common ground. We all are different, but we all have the same needs and wants to coexist. So as always, on Vincent's Voice, and this of course is not, this is a special presentation to introduce the show of Your Constitutional Truths and Consequences. And I am blessed with having some of the most wonderful people hopefully dialed in to join us in the upcoming weeks and going into the new year. But as always, I always start the program with my Pledge of Allegiance, which is I pledge of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to the Republic for which the flag stands, one nation under Almighty God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. You know, I also like my quotes. So I'm going to tell you, I don't have a quote because I think that this pretty much says what the whole show should be presenting to all the viewing audience. So here we go. I'm going to put the quote in as, educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. Thomas Jefferson. You've read it once. I think that's all we have to see for the moment. And you know, Thomas Jefferson is probably my favorite person to reach out for quotes. Undoubtedly, the man was fabulous. We had Ben Franklin, Thomas Paine, and I do like a lot of Thomas Paine's work as well, and Ben Franklin's. But Thomas Jefferson really had a dial-in understanding of where we're at as a country and where we needed to be and where we need to go. And so without further ado, I have a very, very wonderful special guest. I met this woman at a school board meeting in Cameron, Missouri. I was just drawn to her. And so I'm going to bring on Margret Ida Hubard. And here she is. Margret, thank you for being on here today.
Glad to come. Thank you.
Folks, I usually don't get this kind of individual, and by that I just need some latitude. Margret, I never have had really a resume because I asked her to put together a bio for me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this lady, and she can also tell us a little bit more about her life. She's 76 years old, a widow of about 3 years, and a mother of 6, all boys. How did that work for you?
Very well.
Did they give you much trouble growing up? I mean, were they the typical boys?
They were good boys. I don't think they were trouble.
Well, then you were lucky. My mother wasn't as blessed or fortunate, I can assure you. But you finished high school, and you that was up in Long Island, New York, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you went out to Utah and you studied math, music, and radio TV production. How did that work in your lifetime? How did you find that or squeeze that into your lifetime? Do you play music, guitar, piano?
I played trombone when I was in high school and all the way through college. I've learned to play a little bit of piano so that I can help out at church sometimes. I sing. I did learn to play a little guitar at one point, but that's not a big thing for me. All of those things all come in handy and useful in various aspects of your life. Everything I've studied, I didn't make a career out of it much, but I sure have used it all.
I agree with you. Even though you didn't, like for myself, I had studied criminal justice as well as nursing. And even though I never went into those occupations or made a professional occupation out of either one of those, again, like you just said, they were good reference guides in your life.
Yes,
Yes.
I have a professional nurse, but outside of that, I've studied drafting, I studied counseling, I studied gardening, and all kinds of things that have been important and useful, and never became something that I made money with. But who needs to make money?
I'm very understanding of that. We need to make money just to, of course, survive. And it's nice if we can make an abundance of, and in doing so, it's even better when you can be more of a philanthropist and give and do for other people. That's my belief in having money.
Money is something that we use for purposes and not just to have. And yes, I had a career because I needed to pay the bills, but the joy of life and living, and whether you're bringing up kids or acting in the community, it doesn't have anything to do with whether you have a lot or a little bit of money.
Because actions speak louder than words, obviously. Yes or no?
Well, absolutely. It's what you do with your life, not how much you get from it, that makes a difference to yourself, to your joy, to your peace, and to other people in the world. And that's what we're here for, is to help others.
Well, it also, you were an art, you received an associate degree in nursing, as well as a BS in health and human services with an emphasis in counseling, which means I would say that probably as a mom, that all helped you as a mom to raise your children. And you did say they were good boys. They obviously didn't, give you much grief. So though that education alone probably gave you a little bit of a step up in the situation of parenthood, correct?
Well, I was halfway through raising kids when I finished my bachelor's there. And I was interested in it because I had gotten into uh, the Red Cross relief efforts, and was helping people find where to go for after a disaster, a disaster relief. And I was finding that they needed counsel, ways to find a new direction to go in their lives, which was where some of my kids were already at. And of course, the people in high school were looking for direction and how to plan where they were going to go after high school.
Well, it's amazing because, again, you went from New York to Utah, and then it appears as though you went to Uruguay down in South America. What was that part of the Peace Corps situation?
No, I was serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Okay. It was a full-time youth mission. So I was there for 18 months and learned how to speak Spanish.
Wow. Okay. So you're fluent, you're bilingual then.
I kind of brag that I'm pretty much bilingual English and Spanish, but I had 4 years of French in high school. So I read and study sometimes in French. I took some German in college because my mother's line comes from Germany, and I'm interested in genealogy. And then I had a son who served a mission in Brazil and married a Brazilian. So I have a little bit of Portuguese also. So you can say I'm multilingual.
Wow. That just hit me completely out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. I've only known one woman in particular. She actually went through the Holocaust. She was Polish, and she spoke 4 or 5 different languages fluently. And she was an amazing little lady. But also, you ended up in California, at Long Beach, California, Ripley. What did you do there?
When I was on my mission, When I was serving my mission, I met a young man who had a friend that lived in California. And since I didn't have family in the church, he introduced me to his friend, and we wrote letters while I was on my mission. And when I came back, we met and we were married. And he was from Southern California. So we spent some time there.
And you ended up, of course, in Utah and New York again, and Cameron, Missouri. How did you finally end up here?
That's another quite a story. In church history, there is prophecy that in the latter days, in the last days, there will be a gathering of church people in Missouri. And so many years ago, I considered it possible that it would be something I would get to someday in my life. And shortly after my mother passed away in 2009, I was heading back to my home in Taylorsville, and the kids that had been staying there told me that they were moving on to something else. And I said, my goodness, I don't need 5-bedroom house in Taylorsville with nobody living there with me. And so I decided it was time to go to Missouri. And that was 2010. And the Lord thought it was time, because it took us 4 days to get a contract on the house in Missouri, and the house in Taylorsville in 2010, when nothing was selling, and I had 6 weeks to find some place to go and close when I closed that contract. And that happened too, that the same day I closed on the house in Taylorsville and moved out to Missouri, to the place I am now. And I love it out here. It's just like I've come home.
Wow. It's very nice. And I've met a few of the Church of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And again, they've got some beautiful churches here. I have seen and listened to the beauty of the music of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir in Salt Lake City. Again, another architectural, amazing architecture, and a group of people that I've been able to be around. I noticed that you have a Margret Ida helps equals Jill of all trades. It's the first time I've ever seen Jill of all trades being the Jack of all trades. So elaborate.
Well, I had to say Jill because I'm not Jack.
Correct.
But trying to figure out how to explain that one. Over the years, I've always